Is your body performing at its peak level? Are you experiencing physical pain or having trouble sleeping? Ciara holographic chips can help you to restore balance to your body and provide you with the relief you've been looking for. The Ciara chip works similar to an acupuncture treatment. It communicates directly with the body through our human electromagnetic field. These transparent chips are non-transdermal and contain no drugs or other harmful substances. Our chips can be used to support pain relief, sleep enhancement, and increased energy. Ciara chips are also available to help you deal with sinus allergies as well as the harmful effects of EMF radiation. For more information about this remarkable new scientific breakthrough in health technology, visit productsforthesoul.com. Take a journey to the dark side of the spirit world and meet the bad kids on the block in Dark Angels, an insider's guide to ghosts, spirits, and attached entities. Who are these bad kids? As a child, you might have met one at night, under your bed, in your closet, or down a dark hallway. Dark Angels isn't a dull dissertation about ghosts. It's filled with revealing information about how these dark forces can influence our lives. Order your copy of Dark Angels today. Visit www.darkangelsbook.com for more information.
And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
And welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and we're talking to Michael Cremo. His website is mcremo.com, and his new book is The Forbidden Archaeologist. Michael, a little earlier in the show, you mentioned the cycles of times and the yugas and 2012, and I did want to talk about that with you in particular because I think the whole 2012 phenomena is interesting, and where I'm hoping you would go is do a little brief overview of the different cycles and where we are in the different cycles, and then we can revisit because I have some questions about what you think is actually going to happen in December, or is there anything in the literature that shows that at this point in time there might be something that we could potentially experience in the 2012 thing?
Yeah, and to get back to the basic Vedic time concept, it's cyclical. It involves the idea that there are vast cycles of time that repeat again and again and again. And actually, the Vedic time cycles are a little complex. There are cycles within cycles within cycles. But the basic unit of the Vedic cyclical time is called the Kalpa, or the day of Brahma. Brahma being that chief engineering demigod who manifests the material universes and the material bodies in them. He has a day that lasts for 4,320,000,000 years. And then it's followed by a night of Brahma that lasts another 4,320,000,000 years. And then there's another day of Brahma, and then another night of Brahma. So it goes on and on like that in endless cycles. And during the days of Brahma, life, including human life, is manifest in the cosmos. And during the nights of Brahma, life, including human life, is dormant. Everything is like in a sleeping or dreaming state. Then this basic, in in the current cycle, the current day of Brahma, we're about halfway through it, according to the Vedic cosmological calendar. It began about 2 billion years ago, and will go on for another 2 billion years. So we're right about in the middle of a day of Brahma, or a kalpa, as it's sometimes called. And then after that, there'll be a devastation. After 2 billion years, there'll be a devastation, and there'll be a night of Brahma, and everything will be in a dormant state for 4 billion years, and then another day of Brahma will come. Now, the kalpa, or the day of Brahma, is divided into sub-cycles called manvantar periods, and each one lasts about 300 million years. And we're now in the 7th manvantar period in the current day of Brahma, according to the Vedic cosmological calendar. And that means there have been 6 manvantars ahead of us, before us, in this kalpa, or day of Brahma. And in the Vedic literature, it says that between each manvantar period, there's a mini devastation. Not as big a devastation as there is at the end of a whole day of Brahma, but at the end of each one of these 14 manvantar periods, there's a mini devastation. And as I said, we're now in the 7th manvantar period in this day of Brahma. That means there have been 6 before us. And it's interesting that modern paleontology tells us that in the history of life on Earth, which goes back about 2 to 3 billion years, according to modern science, there have been 6 major extinction events. So I think there's an interesting parallel there, that according to the Vedic literature, the ancient Sanskrit writings, the day of Brahma began about 2 billion years ago, and that's when life would begin to become manifest in the cosmos. And according to modern science, about 2 or 3 billion years ago is when life starts on Earth. And according to the Vedic calendar, there have been 6 major devastations after each of the 6 manvantar periods that have preceded us. And according to modern paleontology, there have been 6 major extinction events in the history of life on Earth. So as I said, we're now in the middle of a day of Brahma. We're in the 7th manvantar period. And a manvantar period itself is, well, first I'll say, the current manvantar period began about 120 million years ago. And it's going to end in about 180 million years. And then there will be a devastation, a cosmic devastation. So it's a little ways ahead of us, 180 million years for a manvantar devastation. But a manvantar period is made up of 71 divya yugas. That's another cycle. So we've got cycles within cycles within cycles. So that a divya yuga is made up of 4 ages, or yugas. The first is a golden age. The second, things get about 25% more materialistic. In the third age, things become about 50% more materialistic. And then finally, in the fourth age, the Kali Yuga, things start getting really bad in terms of the environment and society. There's a lot of degradation of the environment and of society. So there are 71 cycles of 4 yugas in the manvantar period. We are now in the Kali Yuga of the 28th Yuga cycle of this current manvantar period. And I know this is a little hard to keep in your head, for those of you who are listening. But as I said, there's cycles within cycles within cycles. So we're the Kali Yuga is an age of environmental and social degradation, and we can kind of see that going on. The descriptions that are there in the ancient Sanskrit writings of what a Kali Yuga is like is pretty much what we're experiencing. Now, this Kali Yuga that we're in began about 5,000 years ago, and it's going to last another 427,000 years, after which there'll be a kind of devastation. Then there'll be a new golden age, and another Satya Yuga, which is the first Yuga in the cycle. Just like in a year, you've got spring, summer, winter, fall. Spring, summer, fall, winter, then another spring. And then it's the same with the yugas. There's a Satya Yuga, a Treta Yuga, a Dwapara Yuga, a Kali Yuga. And then after the Kali Yuga is finished, there's another Satya Yuga, or Age of Truth, Age of Spirituality, and the cycle goes on again. So as I said, we're now about 5,000 years into the Kali Yuga of the 28th Yuga cycle of the 7th Manvantara period of the current Kalpa, or day of Brahma. So that's where we are in terms of the time. Now, because it's a Kali Yuga, there can always be some relatively minor environmental or social disturbance. That's a feature of the Kali Yuga, and it's going to get worse as time goes on. But it's not going to be the end of the universe or the end of life on Earth or anything like that, according to the Vedic cosmological calendar. So as far as 2012 is concerned, that's based on the Mayan calendar, which also has a cyclical concept of time. And there are different interpretations that different researchers and experts give about 2012 and what it means in terms of the Mayan calendar. Some people think it means a big, huge cosmic devastation of the kind that was seen in the film 2012. I don't think anything like that is going to happen, not according to the Vedic cosmological calendar. That will happen later, millions and millions of years from now. It will happen eventually, but not in 2012. But because it is the Kali Yuga, there always can be some disturbance here, and we do see a lot of environmental disturbances these days. Tsunamis, earthquakes, huge floods. Like the recent flooding in Australia, or the volcanic eruptions in Indonesia, or the tsunamis that hit the world a few years ago, or there is a lot of environmental disturbance going on, and gradually it's going to become worse. It's not going to be the end of the world, but there is going to be environmental disturbance. There is going to be social disturbance. So, but some people think that 2012 being the end of one of the cycles in the Mayan calendar, they think will also be a time of enlightenment, the beginning of a new cycle. I think that's also true. There's always a chance for enlightenment, even in the Kali Yuga. That opportunity is there, if we want to take it. So what I think is going to happen in 2012 is, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be the total illumination in the world, but because it's the Kali Yuga, there's the chance for increasing environmental and social disturbance, but there's also a chance for people to become more enlightened if that's what they really want to do.
I just think it's interesting that we're only 5,000 years into the whole thing. We came out of the caves, boom, we're in this cycle, but we have 400,000 plus more to go. And there's part of me that says, okay, but it's a cycle, so, the pendulum will swing all the way to one end, and we might, during that cycle start swinging back to the other side and getting ourselves lined up for going into the next golden age.
That opportunity is there, but the trend is going to be, for the next 400,000 years, is going to be increasing environmental disturbances, increasing social disturbances, a gradual decrease in the level of health in human populations. There's going to be more extinctions of plants and animals. the lifespan is actually going to decrease. And according to the Vedic cosmology, in the first age in the Yuga cycle, the Satya Yuga, people live for about 100,000 years, and they're in perfect health. Everyone is at a very high level of energy in terms of its frequency. They're very spiritual. They're living very simply and very naturally. They are not divided into different social classes. They're not living in cities or anything like that. Everyone is just living very peacefully and harmoniously in a natural paradisical state. With the second age, the Treta Yuga, things get a little bit more materialistic. People live for 10,000 years instead of 100,000, and they start dividing themselves up into different social classes, where you get some people are the rulers, some people are the ruled, and like that. And then they start the first village life and urban life. Then in the next age, the third age, the lifespan goes down to 1,000 years, and everything is, there's a lot of emphasis on material development, but there's still a lot of goodness. But then in the next stage, in the Kali Yuga, the lifespan, the one that we're in now, the lifespan drops to 100 years in the beginning of the Kali Yuga, and then gradually it will decrease down to around 30 or 40 years at the end of the Kali Yuga. And human society will become more and more degraded as time goes on, and the environmental disturbances will decrease. But just because that's the general trend doesn't mean you yourself have to be part of the general trend. Just because winter's coming on doesn't mean you have to freeze to death. You can make preparations and you can keep yourself and others warm, but you can't change the weather. You just have to adjust to the situation. So similarly, in the age of Kali, things are going to progressively get worse, but that doesn't mean we have to be part of that. We can create, by transforming our energies individually and collectively, we can have our own little golden age within the Kali Yuga if we want. That's possible. But the trend is for increasing disturbance and degradation in the environment and society.
Well, and it doesn't sound like, the end of this cycle, and I'm making a joke here, is going to be next year. And so, because there are so many people that are worried about it, and
they should be worried. And
about the world blowing up, or that kind of thing.
Well, not in 2000. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen in 2012.
Anyway, Michael. Well, if you ask me to, hey, we agree. We need to wrap up the show a little early today. Your new book, The Forbidden Archaeologist, when did that come out? Because I know it's like brand new.
That came out this year, a couple months ago. It came out actually at the end of 2009, in November 2000. 2010. We're now in 2011. I'm getting the years mixed up. So we're now in 2011. So it came out in November of 2010, and it's made up of columns that I write for Atlantis Rising magazine. I have a column called The Forbidden Archaeologist, and in it, I write about new discoveries that come to my attention. I write about my experiences in presenting this forbidden archaeology topic to scientists and other audiences around the world. I talk about ongoing research that I'm doing. So each chapter is just one of the columns. There are 49 columns that I've written for Atlantis Rising magazine. So each chapter in the book is like a little bite-sized introduction to various aspects of what it is that I do and why I'm called the Forbidden Archaeologist. So it's a good introduction to my work for those who haven't really encountered it yet. So that's that.
Great.
Book.
Michael, thank you for coming on the show and allowing me to pick your brain and share your plethora of information with the listeners today.
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure, Dr. Rita.
I just love having you on because I can, throw these really hard questions at you, and you're just like, oh, I know that.
Yeah, I didn't have to say
go.
I don't know, which I often have to do sometimes. So I was able to give some kind of answer to all your questions. So I did pretty well.
No, I think you did excellent. Like I said, I was kind of, left field.
But I'm not afraid to say I don't know. If I really don't know something, I'm not afraid to. I won't make up something just to give an answer. Yeah.
Okay. Michael, I'm going to let you go. I have a couple little housekeeping things I need to take care of on this end before the music comes up. Thank you for coming on the show, and I will talk to you again soon. Okay,
bye-bye.
Bye. And that's Michael Cremo. His book is The Forbidden Archaeologist. His webpage is mcremo.com. And next week, we are going to be having Kevin Cook talking about Marian apparitions. That would be like visitations of Mary, like the Lady of Fatima, et cetera, coming on the show. And in the second hour, we're going to be speaking to Jason Martell about the search for Planet X. And so we're ending the show a little bit different. I'm playing a song, and this is for Mark. We all love you.